Hey guys, welcome back to the PipeCat channel. As always, thank you for visiting. Very nice to see you, or imagine that I'm seeing you. I busted out an old favorite of mine. This guitar right here, this guitar represents something that I've kind of gotten away from, but I think maybe I should talk about it a little bit because I've become the demo channel for cheap guitars, and though this guitar was not a knockoff. I mean, it's a made in Korea. Is it Korea? This one. This is a Korean Samick guitar, one of the Greg Bennett series. I've showed it to you before. I had another video where I played this, minus the cat hair. And what I want to talk about, the aspect of this guitar, well, there are a few. First of all, it not being what you might call a recent or current Chinese or Indonesian knockoff guitar, which is a terrible word because really the guitars that I've been demoing, with very few exceptions, have been just plain nice guitars. No two ways about it. They're not going to have the value retention of Fenders and Gibsons and Gretsch and I've never owned a PRS or anything like that, but these have been guitars that are really keepers, and I've grown to love them with a few tweaks, and I really have had to tweak most of them. A couple of them not really, but most of them I've tweaked. But what I've gotten kind of away from are those guitars in my collection that were there before the Chinese import wave really started happening. This guitar here is a pretty good example of that. I mean, if you look at the finer points of this guitar, okay, this Greg Bennett Samick guitar, I'm not sure the year. I think this came out in... Boy, I'm not really sure. I forgot how to date Samick guitars from their serial numbers, but this one has got to be, if I think about it, it's got to be 20 years old or close to it. But I did do something to this guitar that I stopped doing a while ago. I put expensive pickups on this guitar. Seymour Duncan's, what do they call it? The SH, whatever it is, the matched rock set that people were buying for all those years, in the bridge and in the neck position. And I busted the guitar out. I'll tell you why. The last time I really played it was really the day I made that video that you saw when I talked about my friend Tony and I showed you my Dean Markley amplifier that Tony fixed for me, and that whole story. If you haven't seen that video yet, it's kind of interesting, kind of fun. You should go watch it. But that was a while ago, and that's really the last time I played this guitar. But I saw the case, which is an unusual case because it's triangular. And I said, oh yeah, my Flying V. I haven't taken that out in a while. And I got to thinking about all these pickups that I've been dealing with lately, which have been, like I say, less expensive. Chinese imports mostly. Fleor and things like that. There's nothing wrong with them. But then I wondered, I'm like, are they really much different from these expensive Seymour Duncans? These probably, back in the day, probably cost me about, I don't know, maybe $120 for the set, I think. Something like that. And I wired them standard. This guitar has, I believe, one volume? Is it one volume, 2 tones? Nope. 2 volumes in 1 tone. Shows you how long it's been since I've played it. 2 volumes in 1 tone. And I set my little amp over here up the way I normally do. And I started playing with it. And you know what? These are great pickups. And this is a great guitar. This is the fastest guitar, by far that I own. It. The action is like microscopic, which I'm not even used to how low it is. But it doesn't buzz anywhere. And it sounds phenomenal. It's just, it sounds fantastic. And I thought maybe I'll start digging out through my closet there. I've got about 40 guitars now. I'm going to start digging them out of my closet and busting out ones that you guys haven't seen yet that may still be available, some of them. You might still be able to find some of them on Reverb that are pretty damn nice. And I don't know how collectible they are, but if you're looking for a player guitar, I've actually got a bunch of real players in there. This is one of those, you know, it's a real player. When I got this, I had traded it. I told that story in my other video. I traded a black Stratocaster for this. It was a Mexican Strat, and it was a nice Strat, but I just wanted something a little bit different, and this was certainly different from anything that I owned, so I got it, and you know, I was so happy with it. The guy had offered me to trade it back to him if I decided I didn't like it, which was a nice offer. People generally don't do that, but nope. He was happy with the Strat, and I'm very happy with the Samick. And but if you listen to the tone of these pickups, this is the neck position on a Flying V guitar, and it's still bright, beautiful. And the tone knob, if I roll it out, take some of that bite out. There's the neck position and the middle position. They're hot. These pickups are hot. I mean, I've got that gain, as you can probably see, pretty far down. I've got the gain on about 2, and I've got the master volume on about 2. So this should have a lot of headroom in it, but these pickups are hot. I could back them off the strings. They're really close to the string. But I also will use this for rock. You know, I'll bring it down to the rehearsal room now that I've dug it out again and use it for more rocky stuff. And here's the bridge position. I can already see it pegging my microphone over there. Take some high out. Bridge, middle, neck. Thrill is gone. The thrill is gone for good. Thrill is gone. Thrill is gone for good. So anyway, just a little talk about the appreciation for the more expensive pickups that I've applied in the past, and for very good reason. I mean, I guess my point that I'm going to come to is they cost probably about maybe 7 or 8 times as much as the pickups that I've been buying lately. Sometimes even more than that. Factors of higher than that. But are they worth? Do they sound 8 times better than the other ones? No, but they do sound better. In most cases, they do. These are some of the nicest sounding pickups I've got. Like I said, they're hot. So if I max everything on the guitar out, I have to take some of the bright out, take some of the gain out, and then put the volume up, you know, if I want more headroom. pretty stuff with a hot rock guitar. But where it shines is with the gain up. Pardon my crackly chord. Don't know how loud this is going to be. Pretty loud. This is your gain guitar. That is loud, man. I'll put some high back in. I had to learn how to play the keyboards along with the guitar in that song, because the band that I first learned it in was a 3-piece, and so we're like, I really love to do that song because we had the vocal harmonies, but we didn't have a keyboard player. You know, we weren't about to get one, so I had to, yeah, just like that. Kind of fun. Sloppy as shit. Which kind of brings me to another point that I want to talk about. The fact is, my health has been deteriorating quite rapidly. Probably frighteningly so. And what it may mean to me, maybe the next few years, I'm not sure exactly, is that I may not be able to play guitar or bass much longer. I find that I can sing okay, but if I force too hard, the muscle problems that I have in my abdomen are aggravated, so I can only sing for so long now. But been afraid of making a rambling video like this for a while, but you know, it's a Sunday afternoon here in New England. It's absolutely beautiful outside, and I cannot avail myself of this nice weather because I can't walk really anymore. And if I do walk out in the sun and I begin to sweat, the slightest dehydration will cause profound muscle spasms in my legs and in my abdomen, my rib cage. And it has begun to move around under my shoulder to my back now. I don't know what I've got. I don't have a diagnosis, which has been very frustrating for the last maybe 12, 15 years of trying to get a diagnosis. Nobody knows what's going on. They've given me all kinds of tests, and the tests always come back with what they're calling, idiopathic results. It's like it's doing what it wants to do. I mean, we can't predict the pattern. I am diabetic. I have my own theory. One of my theories is that, diabetes, by its nature, after a while begins to collapse blood capillaries, wherever they are. And it usually starts where they are thinnest. And in my case, that capillary collapse began to happen in my lower legs, which is what happens to a lot of diabetics. And mine is even well controlled. I'm just one of those people where diabetes is giving me, all the damage with very little measurable, blood glucose and things like that. My A1C, is not that bad. My doctors have said to me, well, you've got the A1C of a diabetic who is well controlled, and your blood sugar is, marginally high, some of the time, but usually fairly normal most of the time. So nobody knows why I'm having so much diabetic damage. That includes my eyes too. I'm beginning to have the damage that comes along, to your vision with prolonged diabetes type 2. And I don't mean to overshare with you. It's just that the reason why my videos are probably less and less frequent is because I've been feeling less and less able to do it. A very strange thing is that if the sun is out and shining and I'm indoors, I feel better. I don't know that it's psychosomatic, and I'll tell you why. I've been recording music in a basement without windows, and started out on a cloudy, chilly day feeling miserable, trying to record bass lines and having to retake them because I just kept losing my concentration. I wasn't playing tightly, and the guy doing the recording was my old buddy, my best friend actually. And I've actually been able to, about halfway through the session, say out loud, "The sun's out. It's getting nice out." And how do I know? I feel it. And then go outside, and sure enough, or go upstairs and look in a window, and yeah, the sun's out. It's not magic. I don't know what it is exactly, but for some reason I can tell if the clouds have burned off, I feel better even when I'm indoors in controlled environment. I have an air conditioner sitting next to me over here. It's one of those dual hose ones that you hook up to a window and looks like R2-D2. And I have to have that on even when most people would say they don't need it on, because it conditions the air. It removes the humidity, and actually it's filtered too, so a lot of the pollen that was coming in the windows was killing me. And I can't cough. Pollen making me cough was tearing my abdominal muscles to pieces, my diaphragm. And yeah, I got a big fat belly hanging down, and that doesn't help at all, but it's all along the top there. It's beginning to move to the back. Now, if I go into a coughing spasm, I feel it in the back as well. And the spasm that it triggers, I don't know how to explain it other than, in my mind, I picture a white, hot band of pain. It's kind of linear. I don't know how to explain it. It starts in a spot, a point, and then begins to move like a line. And it'll go across my rib cage, across the front, or across the back, and eventually end up at the other side. Rarely does it ever go across the back and front at the same time. It's fucked up. I have no idea what it is. But coughing can trigger that, so I have to be very careful that I'm not breathing pollen, and I've cut way down on my smoking. You don't see me with a pipe or a cigar in my videos anymore. Once in a blue moon outside on the porch, maybe, because I still do it once in a while. But if I do it to the point where I feel like I need to cough, I instantly put it out. I'm done. And anyway, whatever it is that's causing that to happen has been detracting from my ability to play guitar very well. So now, I'm ordering all these Chinese guitars and whatnot, realizing that I'm up around 40 guitars at this point. I'm actually going to sell a bunch of them off pretty soon. There are a lot of very nice guitars in that collection. They're not expensive, but they've been modified. Almost all of them have been modified in some way, usually with nicer pickups. Sometimes I swap out bridges and things like that. A good example is this right here. My Firefly Telecaster here. This thing, it's beautiful. It took a lot of work, and I swapped out that bridge, and I swapped out the pickup, and all that good stuff. The tone parts are the same because they actually work pretty good. But it's one of the examples of the nicer player type guitars that I've got, and I don't think I'll sell this one because it's just that kind of nice. I love that roasted maple neck and everything that's on it, and I like the way it came out after I modded it. It does sound nice. Again, an example of the difference in pickups. These are less expensive pickups than that Samick you just saw. The output's not as big, but the tone is nice. It's just really nice, and it plays really well. I got all the frets nice and level and everything. But I guess what it is I'm at this point where my health, my physical condition, let me just say that, my physical condition is limited such that I no longer am at liberty to rifle through my closet, pull out a whole bunch of guitars one day, go through them and play them all. Because for dumb reasons. One of them being the wood or the enamel on it is cold. And when I put cold against my abdomen muscles, it triggers the spasms. So putting down that Flying V just then and picking this up, I'm introducing a cold piece of wood to my big fat gut there, and it doesn't like it. But I'll fight through it for a while until I feel better, till it begins to warm up and I feel a little bit looser. But of the 40 guitars that I have, I'm guessing I'll probably be able to sell off maybe 30 of them. All right, 25 of them maybe, because I know that there are some I just cannot part with. Many actually that I cannot part with. I've got 3 Firefly FF338 semi hollows. The first one I ever bought is that red one. That's a pretty old video. You'll find on my channel there. And then I bought a blue one just like it. Both of them got Tone Emporium pickups out of Canada, which were about $100 for the matched pair of humbuckers. And they took a lot of work. And I ironed out all the little hardware problems that they had, set them up really, really good. And they're brilliant. But when's the last time I played one of those? Neither do I. Probably shortly after I made the last video. So of the 3 that I have, I've got a red, a blue, and a spalted maple. I think I'm just going to keep the spalted. I'm going to sell off the red and the blue. They are phenomenal, and they are in that first wave of Fireflies that were popular when they first started gaining momentum on the internet. They'd been out probably for a couple of years by the time I heard of them, but everybody was buying them, and that's what prompted me to buy it. I'm like, what is so great about these? And then that got me started on that whole kick with, less expensive guitars. And how nice they can be. I guess that's been my whole point. How little you can get away with spending and how nice of a guitar you can end up with. This right here, all told, I probably have about just shy of $200 in this guitar. I'm guessing, from memory. Yeah, that's about right. And I mean, for $200, I get this nice guitar, a really decent padded gig bag, and it does everything I want it to do, or need it to do. I haven't been a big Telecaster guy for a while, but this one inspires me to be such again when I pick it up. I mean, it really is pretty. People see this guitar, my family see it, my friends see it, like, ooh, what's that? I'm like, yeah, it's a Firefly. I've given Firefly a lot of my money. I got 3 FF338s. I've got a thin line Telecaster, that metallic green one that I made a video about some years ago, and that I put Seymour Duncan quarter-pound tele pickups in. Again, I splurged on pickups for that one to get it to sound killer, and it does sound killer. But the neck is a little thicker than I really like, so when I'm looking at the case, I'm like, do I want to play that one or do I want to play this one? I'll always pick up this one. So I guess I could sell off that thin line. I don't know what to ask for it. I paid $139 for it. And then I dropped about maybe $120 worth of pickups in it, But what do I ask for it now? It's still a Firefly. And no one who looks at that is going to say, oh, look, you put Seymour Duncan quarter-pound pickups on it. They're just going to have to take my word for it, because maybe if I take it apart and show them the inside, it might say Duncan somewhere, but they're not marked on the outside. And I'm not playing it. And it's a damn shame. That is a tremendous guitar, But in this world of, market value and, collector support value, it's not really worth much of anything. It's worth whatever some kid is willing to pay for it, So I might have to take a beating on guitars like that. And I'd be taking that kind of beating on about, like I say, maybe 25 guitars. So what I was thinking was doing was posting. Maybe I'll go on Reverb, or maybe I'll go on just keep it local and do Craigslist or something, and post them. I sold a few off some years ago, and among the ones that I sold on Craigslist were some that I regretted shortly after selling. I had a Fernandes guitar. I forget the model number, but the model was called the Fernandes Black Rain, Rein. Fernandes Black Rain. It had gold humbuckers in it, and it looked, for all the world, like a Paul Reed Smith. That kind of stratty shape with the scalloped side, and it was a rich trans brown wood grain, and it was really nice wood. I think that guitar, brand new, when I bought it, was about 1991, 92. It would have been late 91 when I bought that. And I think I paid about $500 for it. I modded that one rather heavily. I tried graphite bridge saddles because of how bitey it was. I instantly regretted that. Swapped them out. I took the graphite bridge saddles out. Put the metal ones back in. They were brass. Came with brass. And I changed the frets on it. I had a luthier get in there and refret it for me. I wanted big jumbo frets on it. Come to find out many years later, as my playing actually improved, I never needed those. I don't think anybody really does. I mean, it depends on your playing style, I guess. But if you want to be like Yngwie and have a big scallop space underneath your strings all the time, these are medium maybe, or even a little bit larger than medium. I wouldn't call them jumbo. And I don't believe, well, they could be, I suppose they could be steel. This is one of the first ones they came out with the rounded, the ball end frets. Amazing, just amazing. And you don't need, this one doesn't need anything on the neck at all. The neck stays put. This roasted maple, I gotta tell you, this roasted maple neck is like a rock. I don't know why when I first bought it, it moved a couple of times, but since I set it up and left it alone for a while, it hasn't moved in any weather. It's been cold and dry in here, it's been hot and humid in here, and this thing has played the same. And of course, there's never any fret sprout. These ball end frets were quite well done. I've seen some people point out that the ball end frets sometimes are uneven in length. I don't see that here. If it is, it's so microscopic I can't even make it out. But again, just saying that I've sold some guitars that I regretted selling. That Fernandes guitar, the guy who came down to pick it up was extremely directional. He's like, let me see it. I'm like, well, okay, this is it. He's like looking at it all up and down. He goes, and this is and he read off the model. So I went digging for the tag and I found it. He's like, it is. This is an original. I'm like, I don't know that it's worth anything. I'm saying to myself, this guy may know something I don't know, but he wanted only that model. I guess there was another model that had a suffix on the end. He wanted no part of it. He just wanted that. He didn't care that it had frets other than what it was built with. And he didn't care about the brass, anything, and he just took it. He didn't bother playing it. He's like, I'll take it. Just gave me my price. Okay. But once it was gone, I realized that it had a particular sound and a particular style. And there were some songs that I had forgotten that I played really only on that guitar. And when I went to go do them on other guitars, it wasn't quite the same. Like, oh man, I shouldn't have sold that. Damn it. But you know what? I got to learn to let go. I got far more years behind me than I have ahead of me. And my health is going, so, how many of those 40 am I going to play on a regular basis? And if I ever do play gigs again, which I don't know that I ever will, but, I got one band that gets an occasional gig, that's true. But the workload is I can't say the workload is light. I'm the only guitar player in a band that has no keyboards and does soul music. Try doing soul music without a Hammond B3 or a Rhodes, or just a piano with a honky-tonk sound. Try being the only guitar player without a keyboard in a band like that. So yeah, I suppose that is kind of busy, and that will gig once in a great while. But that's kind of my outlet. But I'm not going to use 40 guitars to do that band. And my other band that I do down in the basement with my buddies, classic rock band. We've got some good people, in that band, and it's not going to gig. And I don't know that we need anyone else. We're always trying to add more vocalists. We can never find a good singer. Me and the drummer basically have been doing most of the vocals. The bass player is a new guy from a couple of towns away, and he's been picking up vocals. He's doing a good job. I must say, he was a great player when he showed up, really nice guy, and he's beginning to sing. So that band, another thing that's in the closet and will never be played out. But you see, that bass player is in other bands, so he does get to play out. He gets his yayas out, but he gets to play the music that he loves down in our basement, So I guess what I'm saying is my applications for guitars have come down really to mostly just reviewing them. And you guys have seen some of those reviews, and I'm not an expert. I say it all the time. I'm only a purchaser. I buy these guitars and show you what I find when I get them. I'm not here to tell you, this is what you need to do on this guitar. No, it's like, well, I'm finding that I have to do this. If that's something you guys don't want to do, maybe you might want to think twice about such and such guitar. Or if that doesn't bother you, then go for it. But there's going to be a pretty big sell-off, I think, pretty soon. This is going to be among the ones I keep. That Sandbeck is going to be among the ones I keep. There are some I know for sure I'm going to keep. My Gibson Les Paul Warren Brown Mahogany is not going anywhere. That thing's a gem, an absolute gem. I might sell off my Epiphone Les Paul Plus Top. It's about 20 years old. It's got Gibson Burstbucker Pro Alnico 5s in it, but I've got Les Pauls, and that's one. Although I loved it, and it was the only guitar that I played in the major band that I was in for many years, I'm just not playing it anymore. Guitar technology lately has been such that I was able to, I've got my Gibson, and that thing is all I'll ever really need. I used that one in the soul band for most of it, Yep, so the Gibson won't go. The Epiphone will probably go. I've got a PV Strat copy. It's like a fat Strat. I can't remember the code, or I should say the model number, but I think it's one of the Raptors. It's a real sharp PV. It plays great and all that stuff, and sounds like a nice Strat, but it's pink, which I got no problem with. But it's pink, and it was meant for a girl. It was actually purchased for a female, and my neighbor's daughter grew up without ever learning to play it. And my neighbor one day said to me, "I got this guitar. I have no use for it. You think maybe one of your nieces might like it?" So I picked it up and looked at it and said, "Hell, I'll take it. I'll play this thing." The only problem that it has is it's got the kind of toggle switch where when you switch it out of the humbucker to one of the singles, there's a very slight delay. There's a lag. There's a latency when it switches over. I'm not sure what it's got for a board in it. I've never looked. But it's just too much for me to deal with. If I'm switching real quick between pickups, it's like, there's a little time in between, and that's a real bother. So I stopped playing that, and that's actually got a hard case. So that's probably going to go. My Artcore hollow body. These are ones that I may show you guys eventually before I actually sell them, or maybe in showing them to you, I'll change my mind about selling some of them. But I've got an Artcore true hollow body, with the arch top and 2 humbuckers. That was brand new, $400, about maybe like 18 years ago, I think, something like that. It sounds great. It's got the smoothest tone you ever heard. It really can be used as a jazz box. I don't care how much money you spend on your jazz box. That one can probably compete with it 90% of the time. But I don't do jazz, and I don't really have an application for that guitar anymore. At the time, I thought I was going to, but it didn't work out. So that one will probably get sold. It would break my heart because it's absolutely beautiful. And like most of my guitars, totally pristine. There's not a mark on it. People make fun of me for how little damage there is on my guitars. I collect comments like, "It's a fucking tool. Who cares if you scratch it up? It looks better." And or some people like, "You should relic that thing." I'm like, "Fuck you, relic that thing." I love it because it's shiny and new, man. I don't know. It's just my style. I tend to play fairly lightly, and I don't beat the shit out of them, you know. And I don't get mad and throw my guitar into a corner like some people have done. But I'm just giving you a sampling. There's a lot of guitar. I got guitars sitting around in there that really need to be in someone's hands. They're all playable. I bet you most of them probably needs just a setup, because those that were going to be modded have been modded quite well. Those who didn't need modification are some of my favorites, because I always love a guitar that didn't need to be modified. I've got a lot like that, but they're all players. My Gibson Les Paul is probably the only major name, fairly expensive guitar. I mean, those mahogany studio versions weren't that expensive compared to the other, Gibsons that were coming out at the time. Like other versions of Les Paul, you're going to pay $4,000 for. That one, I think, probably went for, back in the day when it was made, it was probably about maybe $800 or $1,000, and it's still absolutely mint today. That's one that didn't have to get modified. Still absolutely pristine. Nothing wrong with it. It's got that mahogany tone. I don't know how to put it. It's got the same pickups as the Epiphone Les Paul that I was mentioning, but for some reason it's just got a whole different attitude. The mahogany wood just makes a difference. There's no heavy laminate on it. It's just basically kind of more or less rubbed oil. You can feel the wood grain all over it. You've seen those. I probably played it on this channel. I can't remember if I have or not. But I got stuff like that. I've got metal guitars. I've got jazzy guitars. I've got more folky kind of things. I've got one that's just basically for classic rock. I'm very big on maybe 60s and 70s classic rock tones, so I like them clean or on the edge of breakup. I've got a lot of guitars that'll do that. And lately I've been buying Strats. My Donner Strat that I just bought is one of the nicest sounding guitars that I've ever owned. It just is. That Donner guitar, I can't, I had to do some stuff to it, had to fix a couple of things, but once I got it fixed, I can't put it down. I mean, it's always out. It's never in the closet. And that goes to practice on Friday nights with me. I've got another Samick, same brand as that Flying V right there. Another Greg Bennett Samick. That one's called a TR4 Torino. It is shaped like an SG, sort of, but it's got a scalloped, edge, and that's got P90s, actually. It's got GFS P90s, Guitar Fetish P90s in it. When I first bought those, I thought this will be experimental, because it was not routed for P90s. I had to get in there with a chisel and make room for them, and I dropped them in, and I got them held in there with foam, and it looks like ass, but you know what? That's one of the nicest sounding guitars I'll ever own as well. And I may not part with that one. I don't think anybody would want to buy it anyway, because it's kind of Frankenstein looking. But I've got, I won't part with my Epiphone Wilshire that I got recently. That tiny little body with the symmetrical, look like Strat horns, with the two P90s. That thing's amazing. I won't part with that either. My little Squire Sonic Mustang that's sitting right over here. I won't sell that. People have ranked on that left and right. I've watched other channels take that out of the box and say, what a piece of shit. Me, I took it out of the box and I'm like, oh my god, this thing's amazing. So I guess it's hit and miss with those. Won't get rid of that because the tone that it has, nothing else sounds like it. I won't go through all 40 guitars. I know that's what you're thinking right now. This fucking guy never shuts up. He's very windy, and I am. But I'm windy because I can't be as physical as I used to be. And today I thought that I would just sort of mention that guitar acquisition syndrome begins to get out of hand when you reach maybe a certain age or a certain level of physical, disability. Not that I'm fully disabled, but a level of disability starts to quiet down your gas, your guitar acquisition syndrome. And I don't know how many more inexpensive guitars I'm going to buy just to show you what they're like. I do have one more coming, though. I did order one. I loved that Donner Strat so much. You'll see in the next video when I went out and did something else. And that's about it for today. Just a little update. I wanted to parade my Flying V in front of you guys again, only because I hadn't for a while, and it needed some love. I had to get the dust off it. And again, show off my my Firefly telly here. Now that I got it working so nice. Wish I could play it better. Between diabetes, arthritis, bursitis, and whatever the hell is hitting me in the legs and rib cage, like I said, I think it's probably diabetes related, so I'm pretty much fucked there. Can't undo diabetes damage. I think the capillaries to the muscles are probably closing down. That's why they're not as reactive as they should be. And they have trouble reacting to the nerve impulses, and it results in pain. So, rather than, again, I don't want to do my sob story, but that's contributing to me probably slowing down the guitar videos for a while. But I may have one last surge of them based upon all the guitars that I'm going to be going through to determine which ones I'm going to sell. And I might just do one of my favorite guitar channels. Do you ever go to the Guitaristas? Colin, over in the UK. He's great, man. He's just a good dude, and he does a thorough walkthrough. He is not afraid to review, a $2,000 guitar, and then the day after that do an $80 guitar, and he gives it just as much attention. But I'll probably do something like he does once in a while. He had a big sell-off. If you've never been to the Guitaristas channel, you've got to go there and do that. Guitaristas. He is not Hispanic, but if you're not a subscriber, I recommend his channel highly. And he had a thing where he did a series of videos where he was showing you ones he had that he couldn't decide if you wanted to keep or not. In his case, he was going to sell them off to turn it into capital to buy new guitars with. He figures if he could turn a couple of cheap ones into one really expensive one, he's going to do that for a while. Which he did do. He's got some really beautiful axes on that channel, man. And he's a really good rock player. Just your basic rock guy, rock and blues. And he'll show you each one. He'll demo it. So I'm going to probably emulate him and do something like that when I'm ready to do the sell-off. I'm going to get them all out one day, dust them all off, line them all up somewhere, and just go through a minute or so in each one, and maybe do a few videos, of that series. And you guys can leave me comments about which ones you like or which ones you think I should sell, or if you just don't give a shit at all. Which at this point, after all this yammering, I'm sure you don't. So that was it for today. I just basically am giving you an update and, busting out some old guitars and sharing my thoughts about having acquired too many and when to know that what you have is too many. I got a t-shirt somewhere that says, I've got too many guitars, and at the bottom it says, said no one ever. Which, I fully, I'm on board with that thinking, but I have got too many guitars now. The shame is not that I have them. The shame is that someone else should have them, So I might let some of them go pretty cheap. There's a lot of kids that want to get started, and it's, in this economy, no kid can buy a guitar, So I might just take a beating on some of them, but I will be giving them a dissertation to each kid who comes in to buy one. Let me tell you why this guitar is special, and they're going to have to put up with what you just put up with. So anyway, thank you for your attention. Thank you for visiting my channel. Again, if you had fun or if you just want to drop comments and be cool, you can just sub the channel, drop a like on it if you like. Any comments that you leave, I read them. I do not block comments from people. Negative traffic is still traffic. So if you got anything that I'm doing that you don't like, well, feel free. I'm not a big channel, so my give a fuck factor on that is pretty low. But I do read them, and I do actually enjoy everybody's opinion. So again, thank you for coming by. Like, subscribe if you feel so inclined. I do not monetize, so it doesn't matter to me. I hope you're enjoying the beautiful springtime that we're having, like we're having in New England. I wish I could get out and enjoy it more. But I'm kind of limited to my porch right now and an occasional car ride to go to practice. That's about it. All right, guys, that's enough for now. Thank you again, and take it easy.